on the Hornets. He was on the Celtics. Nobody knows either, and they gave him a video tribute. Just wanted to point that out. Anyway, and then we discussed Aaron Rodgers saying to Pat McAfee that he's undecided on his future yet. I think we've heard that before from Aaron. And then the Patriots make a big move in releasing Steph Diggs, and I think all three of us are in on A.J. Brown would be the move over Alec Pierce in that scenario. Both have been mentioned. I mean, they have enough cap space, and they have enough ammo. They could potentially actually get both of those guys. One thing to think about. But we talk about all in, and Nuno likes to point out how, and we all do, that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys all say, like, oh, we're going all in, all in. And then there's never proof of what all in looks like. And then there's a team like the LA Rams who made a monster trade yesterday, and they are going all in because they traded for all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs. They gave up the 29th pick in the draft. A reminder, they do have the Falcons' first-round pick as well, 13 overall, so they still are in the first round. And the Chiefs are going to receive a lot. They get the 29th pick, they get a 2026 fifth and sixth round pick, and they get a 27 third round pick. But the Rams have only used one first round pick since 2017. One, and that was for Jared Verse, who's been awesome for them in 2024. So, do we look at this trade? The Rams addressing a big need, getting an all-pro corner, knowing they're going to see JSN twice a year, put him on that guy, right? Do the Rams now become the favorites in the NFC? You know, that pains you to say, Smalls, but do they become the favorites over the defending champion Seahawks?
Is that disrespectful to Seattle?
Well, let's point out that the Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker, had a chance to be franchised. He's not going to be franchised. There's a chance he walks. They have Zach Charbonnet waiting in the wings.
Exactly.
They have other free agents, Reek Woolen, who they were potentially going to trade this year that could leave. So they're going to lose guys for sure. There's an assumption that Sam Darnold just had his best year, that how can he be better than that, even though regular season-wise he had high turnovers, right? I don't know that it's disrespectful considering the Rams are right there against the Seahawks all year.
And I'm going to get to the Rams part of this in a second because I thought this was an excellent move by the Rams yesterday. But just quickly on the Seahawks. We spent maybe a day, 2 at max, praising the Seahawks. We talked about how John Schneider, alongside Howie Roseman, and obviously now we sometimes we forget to put Les Snead in that category, and we should, as the best executive in football. We talked about Mike McDonald being an incredible leader and a football savant. I think the word genius was used a lot. We talked about Sam Darnold being excellent when it mattered. JSN, we talked about this defense. We said that this was an organization that was one of the best-run organizations in football, from any way you slice it. And then all of a sudden, the Rams make one move, and we're like, I don't know about the Seahawks. We don't do this with other championship teams. I think we gave them their credit in the moment, but the way that we talk about other teams closing that gap and what we've done so quickly to them tells me that most of us think this was an outlier for Seattle and that they're not going to repeat. But to the Rams portion of this was a huge need for them. They have a 38-year-old quarterback who's coming off of an MVP season, and they're saying, we're going for it. And the Rams have been better than any other organization at going for it and taking big swings when it comes to acquiring stars for positions of need. This was a huge upgrade for them, and I give them all the credit in the world for going for it, even though the cost was obviously pretty significant in order to bring McDuffie in.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that for this move for the Rams, I'm going to go back to the Seahawks thing. It's no disrespect to the Seahawks. We just don't have repeat champions in the NFL, right? Unless we're talking about the Chiefs, which of course has one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time there, and that it's an anomaly. So I think it's sort of natural for us to think about who's going to dethrone the Seahawks team. And when I look at that Seahawks squad, you kind of feel like they maxed out, like this was as good of a situation, as good of a team as they're going to have. So, of course, you start looking at who's going to dethrone them, and the Rams were right there with them all season. I mean, they were as closely competed games this season between the two, and now you add an all-pro dude. Of course, there is a natural inclination to say that now the Rams are the team to beat, and I think that they are. Like, if I'm looking at what happened last season, and I'm looking at the Rams and the Seahawks, I couldn't say that definitively that the Seahawks are just a better team. The ball just bounced one way a couple of those games, and I think adding somebody to that is going to have us going into the season looking at the Rams as the favorite in the NFC.
Yeah, I think what David said to start this is dead on. I think in many ways you eliminate the Seahawks as the favorites, not because they may not be the best team, but because they won last year, which is completely unfair. But
did we not talk about the Eagles potentially going on a dynastic run after they won 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, we did. And we don't feel the same way about this team for whatever reason. But if you think about it, and that was probably a mistake, right? Retroactively, I'm not taking that back, but it was probably a mistake. Why? Because of what David Dennis Jr. just said. Mm-hmm. If you think about repeat champions over the last 30 years in the NFL, 40 years, whatever it is, the Dallas Cowboys, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Jimmy Johnson coaching the team. First ballot Hall of Famers everywhere you look. Maybe I shouldn't use the first ballot Hall of Famer because I was going to say Brady and Belichick, right?
But Hall of Famers.
Well, hopefully. But
come on.
Iconic all-time greats.
Yes.
And then Mahomes and Reed. It is not insulting to the Seahawks to say that Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold, to our knowledge in the moment right now, will not equal the success of those 3 different dynastic teams that we just brought up. So when making the suggestion that a move like this, still with a first-round pick to go, which, by the way, if you're going to be the bleep them picks team, I'm fascinated about what they do at 13. Is that now a method to get someone else? Or is that the method to say, we got the someone else, now let's stash Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, for the next couple of years and prepare for even after Matthew Stafford? But the reality is, it's not an insult to the Seattle Seahawks to say that a team in their division could be the favorites in the conference because nobody repeats. Nobody repeats unless you're iconic, dynastic teams. And sure, in the moment, did we know that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, when they beat the Rams 100 years ago, were going to be a dynastic team? We did not. We probably had the feeling about the Cowboys, and we probably had a little bit of the feeling about the Chiefs because there was buildup. They lose the AFC Championship game to New England in Mahomes' first full year as a starter, second year in the league, all-time great game in overtime at Arrowhead. They come back, they win the Super Bowl. Like, we saw the makings of that. New England, we did not. Dallas, we did. If you are willing to say this, Smalls, I am not and David is not. Are you willing to say we're seeing the makings of a dynastic run with the Seahawks?
I'm just saying we didn't give them as much credit as we have other champions who ultimately did not repeat. It was just kind of amazing to me that the love fest around the Seahawks, given the extent of the praise that we gave them from a front office and a head coaching standpoint, and knowing the talent that they have, even with some guys graduating, that we're so ready to anoint someone else as the next favorite to win the Super Bowl and not the Seahawks.
Fair, but at least it's a team that with coach and quarterback combo has done it before.
Yep.
Right? So this is not a team, the Bears. A lot of people rightfully so like the Bears. We're not saying the Bears are the favorite with a coach quarterback combination that had a great year last year, but did not actually win anything of significance yet. Or even your team, the Packers. You believe great quarterback coach combination. Those two did not win anything yet. David and I are deferring to the idea that maybe the Rams are more of a favorite and have a better chance of winning it all than the Seahawks based on simple logic. Nobody repeats. This team has been there and done that before, and they just upgraded. And I'm spitting all over myself. And they have a first round pick left. By the way, side note, I like this for the Chiefs too. This is what great teams do that have great quarterbacks, is they don't give out big long-term contracts to everyone, and they churn, and they get opportunities to do it, because now Kansas City, by the way, has 2 first-round picks. All right, speaking of championships,